Hello, my name is Chuck Wolfe. Over the years, I've worked in many different roles, including leading my own leadership consulting company since 1994. I've worked for and with some of the best companies and universities in the world, and have had the opportunity to work with government officials, military organizations, and public and private schools. I'm a leading expert and pioneer in emotional intelligence. Since 2009, I have been a volunteer hosting a radio show I created called The Emotion Roadmap: Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel. I really enjoy making a difference in people's lives. The show is on award-winning community radio station WPKN in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In recent years, Simsbury Community Television has been sharing my shows on their station and on YouTube. My sincere hope is that everyone who watches regularly will learn how to use the Emotion Roadmap in their own lives by listening to people who call in to get help with challenges at work, home, and in communities. To learn more, go to www.emotionroadmap.com. If you have a comment or question, email me at cjwolfe@cjwolfe.com. Thank you and enjoy the show. This is WPKN 89.5 FM in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you're listening to Chuck Wolfe and the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. And it's 2024, first show of the year in 2024. So I think it's still okay to say Happy New Year to everybody. And so I hope that you had a nice holiday season and that you're all set and ready for the new year. Each year presents its own set of challenges. These have some pretty unique challenges, but almost all people at different points come to realize that there's probably some changes that you want to make. And sometimes New Year's is a nice time to think about stepping back and reflecting a bit on how your life is going, whether or not you're leading the life that you want to be leading, whether or not you're doing the kinds of things that you want to do that are part of what you want as a legacy for yourself. If you're older, you're thinking a bit about legacy. If you're younger, you're thinking about dreams and visions for the future. But all of us have things that we can probably do better or different. And as we kick off a new year, it's often a good time to step back and reflect. Just like you enjoy seeing something reflected in the water when you happen to be at a spot where the sun's just perfect, and the way that the sun and the water are working together, they kind of reflect back what's surrounding the water, and you see some beautiful colors maybe in the water, and you think about how beautiful life can be. And then you think about your own life, and you think, there's a lot of beauty hopefully in your life too, but then perhaps there could be more. And so one of the things that I thought I'd just ask people if they've got some thoughts about any kind of New Year's resolutions. We've called them in the past. We can continue to call them resolutions. But one of the ways I like to think about changing anything about myself is to think about, well, what am I really happy with about my life? What are some things I want to continue doing that I really think add value to the people around me, make my life better, but also make the lives better of everybody I care about? What are some of those things that I do? And could I possibly be doing more of them? Could I be doing more of them? Also, are there things that I want to do, but maybe I should do more of? I've done some of them, but maybe I should do more of. I was talking to someone the other day, a good friend, and I was chatting with him about this. And, he's one of those people that it's always a pleasure for me to talk to him because he wants to know all about me. Isn't it nice when you talk to somebody who wants to know all about you? Don't you really enjoy when somebody says, hey, what else is going on for you, Chuck? What do you care about? What's important to you? And how's it working out for you? And if you need any help, what kind of help do you need? Is there something I can do for you? Isn't it nice when you've got people that are in your life that really care about you? Well, one thing that you could decide this year is that you want to be the kind of person that's in other people's lives that cares about them. And so I was talking to my friend and really enjoying all his questions about me. I stopped him and I said, look, it's great talking with you, and I really enjoy it. And I'm so appreciative of your interest in what's happening in my life and all the different challenges I face and the opportunities that I'm working on achieving and all the different things that you've talked with me about me. How about talking about you now? I'm really interested in you too. How about telling me what's going on for you? And we spent the next, 20, 30 minutes talking about him. So as you enjoy being around people that are really good listeners, one way of thinking about maybe making some changes in the new year is to think about maybe you want to be a little bit better of a listener for others. There's often times when you say, who are the people you care about in life? And then you think about it for just really kind of quick, and you got like 3, maybe 4 or 5 people that are really important to you in your life, maybe more. But often there's usually some key ones. And when you think about them, are you doing all you could for them? Are you really showing up for them the way that you want to show up? So one of the things that you could resolve is to just make sure that you're actually doing more for others. You're listening more to others. You're spending time thinking about what else you could do for others. A lot of times we're thinking about resolutions. We're thinking about what we need to do different for ourselves. And I'm suggesting that one thing you might consider is what else you might do for others that you say you care about. You say you love. You say that they're part of your team and you want to make all your teammates successful. So whether it's at home or at work, are there things that you could be doing for others that would somehow make their lives better? And what's really interesting is I think when you work to make other people's lives better, at least for me, when I do that, I find that my life's better too. I so enjoy being able to help somebody to feel better about their lives by helping them in some meaningful way. And that's what the show is about. The show, again, is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in who is a regular listener. This is now my 15th year. Wow, I didn't think 15 years were going to go by this fast. Or that I'd be here really for 15 years. But here I am. And I've been working on this show for a long time, trying to help people by sharing with them this emotion roadmap that I created some years ago, which essentially helps people to get unstuck, to deal with some of life's challenges where they're kind of floundering a bit in terms of making the next move, finalizing a decision, dealing with a conflict, overcoming resistance to change. There's lots of things in our lives that challenge us on a regular basis. And many of them cause us to feel something very emotional. And sometimes emotions cloud our judgment. They overwhelm our rationality. And what I discovered is that if I can help people deal with whatever circumstance in their life is confounding them, causing them to be uncertain, doubtful, what I do is I offer them the ability to walk through with me what I call this emotion roadmap. We've got a caller. Okay, we'll take this caller. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Sir, good morning. My name is Red.
Red, okay. How are you doing, Red?
Sir, thank you very much. Happy New Year's to you. Every now and then I get a chance to hear you, but today you sort of struck home with me. As far as things I want to do now and how much better I can be with myself and my family, and what am I doing wrong and what am I not doing wrong. And I'm listening, I'm saying, well, gee, everything you're saying is good, but I have the thing, it's timing. Timing is everything. And do I sound crazy or?
Well, I don't know what you mean by timing, so I can't say whether you sound crazy or not.
Okay,
Let me stop you for a second just to say, so what you said I struck a chord with you. So something I just said obviously mattered to you, and what you're suggesting is that timing makes a difference. And I think, of course, timing makes a difference. I mean, you can't just jump in and say or do something for somebody else when it's unexpected or, it's not something that they're really seeking. Sometimes you might be pushing too hard in an area where you think they need help and they haven't asked for it and don't want it. I mean, so timing can have a key role in this, but I'm not sure what you mean by timing. So tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking. Right? Did you say your name was? Did you say your name was Red? You want me to call
Red?
You
That's
Red?
what they call me.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. So Red. So tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking when you say that.
Okay, sir. thank the Lord. He has blessed me for a lot of things in my life. And there's things that I wanted to do with my children. But again, that's where that word timing comes in. I feel guilty sometimes because I couldn't do things. And I keep saying, it really wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. But now, if things go right, I'll be 78 in March.
Okay.
I'm getting old now, and I'm getting tired, and I'm still trying to push towards. My New Year's resolution has always been, I want to be a better man this year to my children, and that kind of bugs me. And, I don't know, sir, maybe if you can enlighten me more.
Sure. Well, you didn't tell me about timing, though. What does the timing have to do with it?
Okay. Sir, I have a funny thing about me. I can think about something, and it'll happen. I'll give you an example. Like this morning, I broke my coffee pot cup. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, gee, now I got to go buy another coffee cup. And some told me to go for a walk. And I'm a dumpster freak. I don't know why, but I find things. And sure enough, as I was walking by, there was a cup for my coffee pot. And I keep saying, and people have heard me saying this, timing is everything. I don't know if it's a religious thing or maybe I have some kind of spirit in me, but I don't know. That's the best I can explain that.
Okay, so sometimes when you think about something, there's just something appears, something happens that just kind of pulls it all together. That's the timing. Okay, now all right, got it now. So one of the things I'd say to you, Red, is that sometimes we feel like we want to do things and we have these ideas and then they're just ideas. And until we actually do them, there's still just ideas. And so the time comes where we think about them. We think about how wonderful it would be to do something for our child or for a grandkid or a friend or a neighbor or a coworker. And we don't do it, even though we had the thought. And the thought felt good for the time we had it. But then we look back and we feel like a little guilty that we didn't do it. And so I'd say to you, if you have those kind of moments, one of the things that you want to do is maybe the resolution is when you have them, do them. I mean, just make the decision that when you have them, you're not going to wait on them. You have a good idea. It feels good. You think about, well, is there some reason I can't do it? I mean, legitimately, there'll be times when you can't. But if there's nothing holding you back and you got something that feels right and it feels like something good to do for somebody else, just do them.
Sir, you have just... You have answered my question. That's all I needed to know. I feel more relaxed. I appreciate talking to you, and I want to wish you a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Red. And thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in, and good luck with that. I hope you have some good successes with that. I think you will.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you take care now. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
So that's how the show works, folks. It's basically trying to help somebody, meet them where they are, try to understand what's going on, and then trying to think through what would make them feel better. And what would make them feel better is to help them by resolving what's in their mind that might be holding them back a bit. And so I'm pretty good at this. And so I like doing this. And you know what's really nice for me? If, hopefully, Red, thanks for listening again. And then when you do something and it feels good for you, it's for me, that's a gift. I do this as a volunteer. I've been volunteering for 15 years to be on the air. It's something I'm good at, and I like giving to people. When I give to people and people appreciate it and find ways to come back and later on call me and tell me, you know what, that's really worked for me. I had somebody the other day call me, a woman named Michelle. And it was interesting because I remembered Michelle, and Michelle had called about something to do with her daughter, who she was very close with, who partnered up with a guy who was making it harder for Michelle and her daughter to stay close. And so, I mean, it was these things aren't easy, but we spent some time thinking about it, talking about it, trying to understand it, and I made Michelle feel a little bit better because I think she's not alone. One of the things that often makes people feel better about life is to understand that they're not alone in something they're experiencing, that other people experience the kind of thing that's happening too. Somebody else called me the other day, and they're struggling with with their children, and the child is feeling like he wants a lot of attention, it seems, and she's really struggling trying to be really good with him, but he is challenging on multiple fronts. But how she's feeling is like so typical with a lot of young boys that are just really demanding of attention. And so trying to help people understand this delusion of uniqueness is called really is helpful. I got another caller. Okay, just a sec. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Hey, my name's Greg.
Hi, Greg. How you doing?
I've been better.
Okay. That's often why people call. So what can I do for you,
Yeah.
Greg?
So we actually talked, I want to say it's been probably 7 or 8 years, and you're always helpful in many ways. And I haven't actually listened to the show in a while, but I'm kind of struggling right now with one of the things is alcoholism. And it's hard to even, say it, but, I'm going back since I was like 14, and now I'm old, 50-something.
Okay.
I actually drank so bad just recently that I was out for the entire day. And I don't know what's possessing me to do this stuff. But, there's a few other issues that are like, rolling around. I'm wondering whether I'm just afraid to face them, but, relationship issues as well as, I'm not that old, but my body is like failing. I'm like, I got herniated discs in my neck and, hip issues that are luckily pretty minor and low back issues. And, it just feels like sometimes that life throws you these freaking snowballs, curveballs, whatever. And I got it pretty good, and I always think about people who have it bad, like, because I really don't have it that bad. And so it's like, how do you struggle with it? How do you make sense of all this stuff?
Okay, so there's a lot going on for you, Greg, and what you just said. So let me explain a little bit about the way I heard you and what I'll suggest. So what I heard was you have some alcoholism issues that go way back to when you were a kid, and you had a really bad day recently where you just passed out for the whole day, and it's not isolated. Alcoholism is often tied to other things. It isn't isolated. It is often, an inability to cope, some stressful things happening in your life. It kind of pushes you over the edge. And alcohol seems like when you're drinking it, like the answer. And then after you've drunk too much, it's not the answer and you feel bad about it. So the way the roadmap works is you're going to kind of look at how are you feeling, how do you want to feel? And then trying to get you to feel the way you want to feel is, I'm assuming, Greg, that one of the things that you're feeling is, you said it's kind of hard to talk about it. So I'm guessing you're feeling somewhat embarrassed, but also upset with yourself that this is the road that you traveled down recently, and you're wondering what you can do to get off that path and take a different roadway. Does that sound right at all?
Yeah, certainly in the ballpark for sure. But it's like, I wonder a lot. Do I need to go see a therapist?
Sure.
Is that something that I should be considering strongly right now? Like, there's just, it's just so, it's kind of intricate. It's probably not a bad thing.
Well, so the next part of this is sometimes when I find people who have they're in a pattern that's familiar. This isn't something that's never happened to you before, I guess, right? You've had these kind of experiences over the years, different times.
Yeah, well, what we talked about, way back when, which was actually, I think I want to say maybe 7, 8 or 9 years ago. And, it's like you wonder, should you be toughing a relationship out when you're not convinced that it's working? And, it's hard to say that it's going on 32 years. So it's like, how do you break free from something like that, really, when it's as long? And, I try and picture myself without this person in my life, and it's pretty hard.
So I think relationships go through ups and downs. All of them do, even the best of them. And there are times when people question them. There's no doubt that a lot of people experience that. In fact, most people, I think, at different points experience that. But I think one of the things, maybe from a long time ago, too, that you've made the decision that it was worth trying to figure it out, and there were enough good times to offset whatever it is that causes you to question it at different times. One of the things I wanted to ask you, though, Greg, was you mentioned therapists, but I'm assuming that because you've dealt with this at different times, that you've had some successful strategies in the past that have got you back on track other times. Is that not true?
Not necessarily, but fortitude, I guess, is one of my better qualities.
Okay.
So I've become a lot better at drinking.
And managing it, actually?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But, if it's just, functioning is kind of the word that comes to mind.
Well, since drinking is often, it's often a symptom of other problems that you're having. You mentioned going to a therapist. Have you ever been to a therapist before?
I have a few times, and I don't always know that it's felt all that helpful. And I'm really stubborn with my time. But, I'm trying to let all that go because I'm seeing, hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel is that, this is help. But after Monday, I don't want to ever feel like that again. And I don't know what possessed me, but it was kind of like I bought it, so I wanted to finish it. Yeah. And it was literally so embarrassing and disgusting, to be honest, that I'm ready.
Well, so sure. if you're ready, one of the things you can look at is that what you did to yourself was you pushing yourself to make a decision to do something about what you're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, like that one episode, you can't just get past it without, as soon as you think about it. And the reason for calling me is maybe you're looking for that push that says, okay, yeah, that's the right move. And honestly, Greg, I see no downside in it.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right.
So I think you want to be thoughtful about who you pick and who you talk to. And if it's not, if you go and you see some, one of the things about therapists, which is really interesting, I think, that people don't often recognize, is that just because somebody has a credential on the wall and they've been to a good school doesn't mean they're going to be good for you.
Right.
And sometimes people without the good school, it doesn't really matter. It's got to be the chemistry and the person that you talk with and deal with. There's got to be somebody that feels like this is a person that can help you.
Yeah. Well, I have been talking to a friend. I don't know what it is, but the AA experience has not been great, but he's been very helpful.
Is he in AA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you in the middle of someplace where you're in a call center or something?
I'm sorry about that. I was going to give you a heads up, but I didn't. I'm on just a quick lunch break, and that's why I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk to you. And like I said, you always have such great advice, and I appreciate you and
thank you.
Your calm demeanor and the way you speak to people is just it's really reassuring. I should listen more, but I think you're on at a time of the day that I can't always get to you. But I just want to acknowledge you, your program.
Thank you very much.
I'm a big PKN person. I would like to continue a conversation with you, when I'm not quite so distracted. But there's that's just the tip of the iceberg for me. And so, if there is an opportunity to continue to discuss something with you, not exactly airing it out on the WPKN, I would appreciate that.
Thank you, Greg. I don't really do private therapy anymore. I used to years ago, but the best I can recommend for you is just listening to you. And if you want to take what my counsel would be is, you've been to a therapist before. You've had some experiences, some probably positive, some not so great. But try and find, be willing to experiment a little bit until you find the right person. Because it sounds like you're at a tipping point where, at least what you're saying this morning is that, 12 o'clock, whatever time it is, you're saying something that says, I think I'm ready to do something different. I want something better.
There's no doubt. No doubt about it.
So I encourage you to kind of explore that and try and find the right person to talk to. And I appreciate you saying all the nice stuff about me, but I don't do therapy anymore. The best I can do for you is to just try and point you in the right direction. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and you always do. So, we talked, probably 45 minutes the last time I talked to you. And what it does and what you may not understand is that the things that you say, and not just you, but anybody who's helpful, you think about them. You think about them over the weeks, over the years. And I've never, every time I hear your voice, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember talking to him, and he helped me. And so, it is nice.
Well, Greg, I don't know if you heard me a minute ago, but when people call back and they tell me that something I might have said was helpful to them, that's a gift to me. So thank you very much for that. It really is.
You bet.
Okay. Well, you take care and best of luck with all that, Greg. And if I can be helpful to you when you're trying to decide who to see or something like that, you want to call back and talk about that, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, and you have an email, right, for the station?
I do, yeah. Well, it's just my email, and it's I give it out over the air. Are you in a place you can write it down, or?
I am not, but I actually was at WPKN for a while, and that's believe it or not, one of my goals is, I need a diversion. Because like I said, I just touched the tip of the iceberg with everything, but I don't just drink. I drink and I play a musical instrument for hours on end.
Okay.
And I love it. And it's tied to the struggle. And so, but when it gets overboard and, I'm down away from everybody, it's just, I know it's not healthy. I got to find this balance, and so hopefully talking to you will help me find it.
Well, look for a purpose then, because I think that's what you're needing. Sometimes, I know for me, without getting into a lot of my own stuff, I think when I find something that really drives me, that feels good to me, I don't think about getting high or needing to, because I'm so high on life because I'm doing stuff that I love. And so if you can play more music, if you can get out and do more things that feel right to you and make you feel right without the alcohol, because it just feels so good to be doing those things without anything else, that you don't need anything else because it's coming from inside you. That's the best kind of advice I can give you.
It is true, but, I consider myself either like a rock star down in the basement drinking like a jerk, or I become a bookworm. And it's like these two extremes of like, I'll plow through books like there's no tomorrow. And it's like, what is wrong with me? Can't I just find that balance? A little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I think that's what I need to work on. I don't want to just be a bookworm. I would love to be a rock star all the time, but
Well, let me give you some homework. Are you open to homework?
Of course.
So, because I'm actually thinking about this for myself too, and some other people I know, which is, there's some things that I want to do that I'm not doing. I keep talking about doing them, and I'm not. And I think what you just said is I want to find some balance. Well, one of the things that you can do is make a decision to wake up every day, and whatever time of the day that you might have, half an hour to an hour, focus on what can I do today to be balanced. Just keep asking yourself, what can I do today to be balanced, and then do it.
Yeah. And I love that your advice right now is consistent with the last fella. And, I'm sure he appreciates it as much as I do. So.
Well, just do it.
Yeah.
I guess that's a theme this morning.
Yeah, not only that, it's also a Nike phrase.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
it's got to be a good one for them to use it.
Well, Nike used it and it got about 20, 30 million people off the couch.
There you go.
And then sneakers off doing something. So yeah, maybe that's the theme for the year is just do it. Okay,
All
Greg.
right.
Well, great talking to you. You too. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so again, the show is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. Just want to thank Red and Greg for the calls this morning. Anybody else that's waiting to call, the number is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. So I was talking about how do you take life and make it better. Again, there's all kinds of challenges out there. A lot of them seem like out of reach. I mean, I don't know that, any individual is going to impact, the things that are happening in the war-torn regions of Ukraine or Israel and Gaza. I mean, I don't know if we're going to impact those things, although we might, depending on who you are and what influence you have. But all of us can influence the people around us, the people we work with, the people we're close to. I think the way we influence in a better way is we try to, be the best version of ourselves we can be. One of the things I started to say before Ray called, I guess, was I was talking about, sometimes one of the things that people who are parents for the first time struggle with mightily is the idea of, hey, I want to be loving. I want to be caring. I want to be supportive. I want to be the best darn parent ever. At least the best darn parent I can be. And so that means that I'm going to be as loving and kind to my child as possible. And isn't that wonderful? But what does it actually mean? Because what happens is I think there's a lot of loving moments, and then there's the challenging moments where your child does something that is unexpected and unwanted and really upsetting. And then how do you stay in that framework of being kind and loving? Well, you stay in that framework by being, by having boundaries, by teaching your child that there are boundaries. And yet boundaries, I don't know if you heard me talk, I was talking the other day about accountability, but I think accountability starts when you're a kid. And if your parents hold you accountable and you realize how important accountability is and how important it is to you, not just to them. As a child, you find out that when, it's just like I'm saying to Greg and Red, if you start doing certain things and you hold yourself to a level of accountability, it starts when we're children. And I think parents, I know I struggled with this. I wasn't great at it. I tried to get better at it over the years as I realized how important it was. But setting boundaries, holding yourself accountable, holding your family members accountable, holding your children accountable, holding co-workers and workers and even your boss accountable. Accountability is becoming one of my favorite things these days because of its importance. I've talked a lot about work as well as at home and things that happen in both places. And one of the things that strikes me is, I've been in a lot of my life has been devoted to something in the area of leader development. How do you help somebody to become an effective leader? How do you teach somebody to become an outstanding leader? How do you do that? What is it about leadership that really makes somebody an effective leader? One of the definitions of an effective leader is people who would follow you even if they weren't getting paid. Because you're such an effective leader. Well, next caller. Okay. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Oh, hi. This is Jesse.
I'm sorry. This is Chuck. You've called WPKN. Is that a wrong number for you?
No. I was just listening to your broadcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My name is Chuck, not Jesse.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying my name is Jesse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Jesse. I'm sorry for the confusion. How can I help you?
Well, I have kind of a conundrum.
Okay.
So I'm dating a wonderful man. And recently, and not because he willingly shared this information with me, something happened that he kind of had to tell me. And this might not sound like a big deal, but so he has no driver's license. He's been driving his car uninsured, unregistered, and with no driver's license because of a medical condition. And it just threw me that he never shared this information with me for 4 years. And on top of that, he always chose to drive one of my cars, which when I thought about that, I realized that was also putting me at risk for potential issues that I just don't know how to navigate it.
That sounds, very questionable. I know you said he's a wonderful man, but you just told me a couple of things that make him sound not so wonderful, right?
Well, I think it was just the dishonesty around it.
Yeah. But also putting you at risk and asking to drive your car when he had this going on. Why would he do that, I wonder?
Well, I think he realizes that if he got pulled over in his own vehicle, it's jail. If he gets pulled over in one of my vehicles, which are insured and registered, it's probably a lesser offense, is all I can think.
But that doesn't. But without explaining that to you up front, okay. So you're wondering about the relationship at this point. Is that right? Should this really be a huge red flag for me? Am I rolling with this too easily? I can't. It came out about, I want to say maybe a month and a half ago, and on and off, I can't stop thinking about it, and I haven't spoken to anyone about it. And he said to me, "Please don't tell any of our friends. Don't let anybody know." And there's a side of me that understands this. He's embarrassed. He doesn't want to acknowledge this clearly, and he doesn't want anyone else to be aware of it. So I haven't said a word, not to any of my close friends that are also our close friends together, right?
Not to my family, nobody.
So let me see if I can just kind of like dissect this with this roadmap that I talk about. So the idea of how you're feeling is distrustful at this point?
Yes, like I feel very hurt in the fact that he really didn't have any regard for me and how this would affect me, not just in driving my cars, but this was the case when we first met and started dating. And I feel a sense of betrayal, I guess, that he didn't, make me aware of this and allow me at that time to decide if I wanted to engage in a relationship with a person with this situation, which does affect your life and his life and my life. And now, we're almost 5 years in.
Yeah.
He's granddad to my grandson. He's, my kids care about him. So now I'm engaged into this situation.
Right.
My family is, engaged in this situation.
Okay.
And I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So sometimes when I've talked about the emotion roadmap, just in general, I've said the longest emotional journey any of us can have is to go from feeling betrayed to trusting. Because when you feel betrayed, it's like the most powerful component of a relationship. It's like,
Right.
if he's willing to do that, what else don't you know? And how is that going to somehow undermine you down the road a piece in a way that is devastating? And so I don't have the history that you have of a lot of years of being really happy with this guy. So I'm thinking, if I'm in your trying to put myself in your shoes, if you just told me that about the person, I'd say run as fast as you can. I mean, honestly, that's my reaction to it. Because somebody who tells you not to tell somebody else about a trust issue where he didn't trust you enough to tell you and he put you at risk, and now he's telling you to keep it a secret from everybody else, I'd say run as fast as you can from him. And that's my initial reaction. But I also realize you just told me you've had some really great years with this guy. And so it isn't all about that one issue. And so what you have to decide, I think, Jesse, is how do you make this right, if it is possible to make this right? And I think you have to let him know that, hey, all this got to be out in the open. You can't drive my car anymore, and you shouldn't be driving your car at all until you figure out how to make that work so it's legal. Because I'm not getting in the car with you anymore. And that's going to stop the relationship unless we figure something out here. Now, that's just my thought, and I realize I'm being very, I don't usually just say this, but it scares me what you told me about him.
And it's interesting because I'm a pretty, I'm a pretty level person. Like, this is the kind of thing that, like, I wouldn't typically find myself in a situation like this. I live a very, clean life, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
All my T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Like, this is how my brain works. I'm not an irresponsible person, I guess I'm trying to say. And this is a grossly irresponsible situation.
Sure is.
Yeah, that I'm now connected to.
Right.
And there's a part of me that is like, I need to move on. And I feel terrible about it, but like, I don't know, like, is this, and interestingly, whenever we are together, we only ever drive my car, and I always drive. And this kind of just happened. I actually like to drive, and he was always like, that's fine, you drive.
Right.
And I think about that now. So I think in that situation, he was, but why not just tell me?
Right. So here's you're right, it is a conundrum, but the way it seems to play out, at least at this point, in what I understand from you, is you have a history that's been good, including him being the granddad and so forth. And there's a lot of things that say that maybe this is worth saving. So I don't want to say you should run. I mean, if it was just this one thing, I'd say, yeah, you should run. But there's been other things. And so over time, but this doesn't fit with who you are in your life. And that might be something why he maybe didn't want to tell you this.
And that could be very well true. He knew that this would be difficult for me. And it is. Like, it makes me feel unsafe. So
for you to feel safe, for you to feel trusting, that's the question that this roadmap asks, because that's where you want to get to. You want, if it's at all possible to stay with this guy, if you make that decision, what would it take for you to feel safe and for you to feel trusting again? Is there anything in your mind that could possibly make that happen in terms of what you'd want him to do?
Yeah, I don't know, because the fact remains that this can't be fixed. It's a medical situation that he can't legally have a license.
Okay.
So I have to decide, do I want to be with somebody who can't, it makes him incredibly dependent on me.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And am I willing? That's a lot.
And I'm not saying you should go there. I'm saying if you want to at least think about how you might get there, what would it take? If you want to end it, I could see ending it considering what happened. That's why I said my initial reaction is, Jesse, my suggestion is you get away from this guy as fast as you can.
That was my initial reaction when he first told me. After I was like, I couldn't. I was like, well, I'm out. And then I realized Then I'm thinking of the ripple effect of it on, then I have to tell, and I have adult children. It's not like they're little kids.
Yeah.
But still, my little grandson who, is going to wonder where he goes, and that is what really gave me, so I don't know.
Well, let me say this to you. I don't think you decide based on what it's going to mean to somebody else. You're going to decide on what's this going to mean to you. So let me segment it off that way. Your grandson will recover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think you want to make that decision based on those kind of facts. I think you want to know, do I want to be with this guy? And here's the thing that concerned me. In part, it's that he didn't tell you in the first place. But perhaps even a bigger concern is he said you can't tell anybody else. Anybody that starts sharing secrets with you and puts you in a place where you can't share with your closest, friends, family, things that are important to you, I think that's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, at least, if I can offer you just a possible way of thinking about this in case you want this to work, and I'm not saying you should, but in case you decide you want this to work, I'd ask you, I would have a conversation with him that said, 1, this is unacceptable. 2 is I'm thinking that I'm not sure I want to go on. And 3, one of the things that if there's any chance to go on is I'm going to tell everybody that's important to me about this. And you can't ever ask me to not share things that are important with the rest of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense at all? As things to at least put in.
It does. It's just a tough place. I don't know.
And I'm not saying it's worth it. I'm just saying if you decide you think there's enough in there over the years that this is a kind of an anomaly, right, if you will. This is like an outlier. It's not who he is. But if it is who he is and he's just been masking it for a long time, then I don't think, again, I don't know because I'm not you and I don't know what you've lived with, but just listening to you, walking away doesn't sound wrong to me, but it's possible that there's more there than because you're just talking about this right now because this hurts and it's just happened. If you told me 4 months ago about this guy, you'd be saying a lot of different things that made me think he's a pretty good guy, is my guess. Mm-hmm. So that's what you got to weigh.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts on it.
Okay. And honestly, I think it's just I think the most important thing maybe I'm giving you is that if you want to stay, you can't allow this to be untold to other people. That's got to be part of it. And 2 is don't make the decision based on how it might impact somebody else. It's more about how you're living your life, and that's what's important here, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Well, Happy New Year and good luck with it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that's an interesting day so far, isn't it? So best of luck to Maureen with a very challenging situation. Well, actually, all the situations are challenging in different ways for different reasons. Well, it's the idea of how the roadmap works, though. It's you want to know what your options are, and how you might go from feeling betrayed to being trusting again, if it's even possible. For some people, when somebody breaks their trust, it's you never get it back. You never get it back. So it's different for folks. One of the exercises I do when I'm doing leading groups, and it's important to work on the issue of trust in the group. I'll ask people to pick a number from 1 to 10 that says, how trusting are you with a person you're meeting for the first time that you're going to work with? You haven't heard anything at all about them. You don't know who they are, but you're going to work somewhat closely with them. Do you start off at a very high level of trust with that person? Or are you sort of on the skeptical side, or maybe even very skeptical, and you start off with no trust until they prove to you that they're going to be somebody that you can count on to do what they say they're going to do, to keep their word, to not share things they shouldn't share, and etc. So I ask people to pick a number from 1 to 10. 1 meaning I don't trust anybody at all until I get to know them really well, and they've earned my trust. Or I start off extremely high, close to 10, maybe even a 10, because I just want to trust everybody. And I know I'm going to get burned occasionally, but it's worth it to me because I want to see the world as a very trusting place. So I'm going to start at 10, or I'm going to start at 1, or someplace somewhere on one side of 5, meaning that I on the trusting side, or the other side, meaning I'm not on the trusting side. I'm distrusting most people from the beginning. And then I ask people, so that's interesting all by itself. And I said, so whatever side of the line that you line up on, I ask people to go, line up on a wall. Here's number 1, here's number 10, and find your number, find your space. And whoever's standing beside you, pick 2 or 3 other people, and just share why you're where you are. Because sometimes you're there for the same kinds of reasons, other times for different reasons. And then, if I want to take a deeper dive into this, I ask people to now sit in a group, if it's a small group, and talk to us and tell us about why your number is your number. Why are you on the distrusting side, or why are you on the trusting side? And sometimes people end up crying when they're talking about this stuff, because our feelings about trust are deep, and they come from when we're little often. And often if we've been burned by somebody really close to us, like what just happened with Jesse, man, it's really hard to trust the next person, because for a number of years you go around with a person that you think you can trust, and then I'll find out something very basic is untrustworthy, and that they've lied to you, or maybe didn't lie so much as to put you at risk. Man, that's scary to me. And so if that's how you start as a kid, as a little kid, and you have a few episodes like that, boy, you're likely to end up on the side of, I don't start with trust with anybody. People really got to prove it to me before I trust them. Or if you have lots of positive experiences where people have showed up and done what they said they're going to do, have honored their commitments, have kept their word, have kept their promises, chances are you want to show up and make, and on occasion, as a later in life, as a young adult or middle age, you have some people that might break your trust, but you're strong enough that, hey, I've had enough experience with people to know that, yeah, there'll be a few that are going to break my trust every once in a while, but they're rare. They're not typical. And so my attitude towards it is I'm going to trust most people because I like living in that trust space. For me personally, in case you're interested in my number, I'm around a 7. I've been burned enough to know that I can't trust everybody. But I want to trust people. I want to be on that side of the equation. I want to be on the trusting side. I know I can't count on other people always wanting to be on the trusting side, but I like living there. I like thinking that I can trust people, and then occasionally I'll get burned. But it doesn't happen often, and in most cases, the people that I choose to trust are trustworthy, and the relationships are strong and powerful, and often really, really great. So I just think that's worth it. That's my choice on it. So as I started the day, I started talking about, what can you do? The beginning of the new year, it's 2024. And one of the things I got to say, it's just interesting perspective I have on this year. A friend of mine, someone that I didn't see a lot, but I really liked a lot, passed away on December 31st. And it was so sad to hear she passed away. She was younger than me. A lovely person, just a very giving person, someone that really helped me out when I had I thought I had something wrong that was going to be potentially some kind of cancer, and it wasn't, but I needed to get checked out, and it seemed like it was going to be a really hard time to see one of the better doctors in the area. And she was working in healthcare, and she got me in to see one of the top doctors in the field that I was having some problems experiencing. And she was just great to me and just really helped me out. And also just over the years, I'd known her and I'd known her husband, and I was friendly with them both. And in different ways, they were helpful to me in my life. And when she passed away, and that wasn't unexpected because she had cancer, but I'd seen her not too long ago and she looked great. And just the fact that she passed away just made me really step back and think, boy, I'm really glad to be here in 2024. I'm really happy to be here, and really sad that she's not. That's how I felt about it. So it's kind of a strange, January 1st midnight kind of celebration, because part of me was happy I was here and very sad that she wasn't. Anyway, as you get older, you start having these perspectives of, hey, it isn't just about having a drink and toasting everybody and just having fun. It's also being reflective about what else do I want to do in my life? What else do I want to get done? And that's why I guess the theme for me today, just do it, I ended up saying. At least to Greg and to Red, right? For Jesse, I think it's more a question of what is it you want to just do? Because it's a little unclear because I don't know what most of that relationship sounded like was really good, and this was just a really scary part of it. So anyway, there's a lot to think about when you think about relationships, but one thing you can count on is that being kind to yourself, being kind to others, doing something for other people. I started off saying, isn't it great when somebody's willing to listen to you and give you the time, and they show the concern and the support for what's going on in your life, and they really want to be helpful to you, and they're asking you, is there anything they can do to help? And they're not just asking you to talk to fill space, they're really listening hard, and they're asking questions that are really relevant and clearly supportive. And I said, as wonderful as that is, wouldn't it be great if one of the things that you decided to do for the new year is that you wanted to be that kind of listener for other people in your life that you say you care about, that you say you love, and that you want to demonstrate to them that love and that support by just being there for them, listening to them, making sure you really listen hard to what's important to them, letting them know that you're enjoying listening and that you care about them. So that's my show. I'm Chuck Wolfe. You've been listening to the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. I'm on first and second Wednesday of each month, and I'll be back next week. Happy New Year, everybody. Take care.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.